What's going on, everybody? This is 10 WWE wrestlers who were pushed beyond their merit, which means they were pushed all the way to the top and they had no business being there. Okay, the two main people I can think of is one, Ryback. Number two is the one that everybody thinks about when it comes to this subject, and that is Jinder Mahal, which I am surprised they were drafted. I can't believe Jinder Mahal was drafted, but hopefully they got something good planned for the guy. I mean, let's see what happens. But before we get into this video, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it. Let's get into this.
It's common in WWE for a wrestler to be pushed who simply isn't ready.
Swagger.
A specific wrestler will be given the push of a lifetime, but the reality is that they have yet to develop the skills they need to be a top star in the company. Usually WWE eventually gives up on this chosen individual, but sometimes their stubbornness means that they will outright refuse to cancel the push.
That's
and the
happening a lot.
wrestler will remain a lower card talent for the rest of their days in the company. Join us now as
That's what
WrestleLamia looks at 10 WWE wrestlers who were pushed beyond their merit. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, WrestleLamia Shorts. Number 10, Luther Reigns. One of the more forgotten about stars of the Ruthless Aggression era was Luther Reigns. Reigns was given a substantial push upon joining the main roster, as he would join forces with Kurt Angle, which instantly gave him a road to success. The issue was that Reigns was just so dull that fans didn't care about him. The Ruthless Aggression era was a time where fans wanted exciting, hard-hitting matches, and slow and plodding big men such as Reigns weren't going to get over. Reigns would be given absolute icons to work with, such as Eddie Guerrero and The Undertaker, but even working with these legends failed to make fans see Reigns as a top guy. Reigns would eventually be released, and WWE no doubt regret putting in so much time and effort into trying making Reigns a main event player in the company. Number 9.
Dang, when they put you in a ring with The Undertaker and like Eddie Guerrero and that does nothing for your career, that's how you know. You ain't it.
The Big Show in 1999. Long before The Big Show was certified as one of the greatest big men in WWE history, he was given a huge push early on in his WWE career, but it completely fell flat. Big Show would win the title at the 1999 Survivor Series, but this wasn't a role that Big Show was ready for. He had failed to put it all together in the ring, and his promo and character work was lackluster at best. This was during a time where wrestlers such as The Rock, Triple H and Mankind were all super over, and WWE's decision to go with a Big Show simply didn't work. Thankfully, in later years, Big Show would truly come into his own in WWE, and his later world title reigns were considerably better.
Way better.
Number 8, Ezekiel Jackson. It was clear based on Ezekiel Jackson's presentation that WWE saw dollar signs when it came to his character. Jackson had an imposing physique, but when the bell rang, he failed to deliver in virtually all of his matches. Jackson would be given extensive and excessive pushes during his tenure in the company, and would even defeat Christian to become the last ever ECW champion. This push continued into 2011 when Jackson became Intercontinental Champion. But his title reign was a total dud, and WWE eventually decided to go in a different direction with one of the more prestigious titles. They were adamant on making Jackson a star, and it took them a long time to realize that he wasn't as good as they initially thought, and by 2014, he was released from the company. Number 7.
Here's the interesting thing though, with Ezekiel Jackson, I've seen people online say this before, and they posted it in memes, and I don't really comment on that stuff because like I just like, that's their opinion, let them have their own. But I've seen people post him and say that he's one of the most underrated wrestlers. And just as they said, with his title runs, I don't think he was terrible, but his title runs weren't great at all. It just didn't make any sense at all. And like, I don't know. Like, how do you guys feel about that? I'm just really trying to understand how people come from that perspective. And that's no disrespect to Ezekiel. It's just, I just don't see it.
Shane McMahon. Shane McMahon had always been presented as the untrained wrestler who was solid at brawling, but in 2019, they went too far with their presentation of the prodigal son. McMahon would turn heel by attacking The Miz, and his heel run was given a ton of TV time, and it made fans loathe the WWE product. McMahon was legitimately presented as the biggest star in the company, and he would attain wins over the likes of The Miz and even defeat Roman Reigns on pay-per-view. This push went on for months on end, and it was during a time when Kofi Kingston was WWE champion, but Kingston was pushed aside in favor of this truly awful push. Number 6.
Yeah, I remember that one. I personally didn't even take it seriously. So in my mind, I didn't think about whether he was like meant to be taken serious for him to be up there, or the whole merit thing. I get what they're saying. It makes all the sense of the world, but for me, I never took that run serious. I was like, all right, it's another McMahon kid. They're trying to push him to the top, and allow them to get some space or whatever. Once this blows over, we'll move on to the real wrestlers, you know? And that's what I thought at that time too. And also, hopefully on this list, they don't add like David Arquette or something like that from like WCW when that happened, but we'll see.
Jinder Mahal. WWE made a bold and drastic decision in 2017.
It's an easy one.
Jinder Mahal would go from jobber to WWE champion. There were business reasons for Mahal's push, but the problem was that Mahal was not at the level of other top stars. Mahal was average in the ring and he had a lack of presence as a top star. Mahal had spent years as a jobber and he lacked conviction as a WWE champion. He'd wrestled the likes of Randy Orton and Shinsuke Nakamura on pay-per-view, and these matches were passable at best. And it was clear that WWE had pushed a talent who wasn't cut out for the main event scene. Number 5.
I will say this really quick, and I'm sorry that I keep pausing this video. Since he got drafted, which I'm shocked by that, but man, I feel like he's still gonna get booed out the building. And the people attached to him, like Veer and I forget the other guy's name. Hopefully they don't travel on to their career. But I will say this, you know, about Jinder Mahal. You know, I know he went back to NXT. I haven't watched him when he came back to NXT. I haven't really watched much of NXT 2.0, except for certain wrestlers that I paid attention to, like ones that came from NXT UK and stuff like that. But, you know, hopefully they can figure something out for him. You know, I don't want his life to be in rubbish for the rest of his career, you know. So hopefully they can figure something out. We've seen them turn characters around, like we see Roman Reigns. We see what happened to him. Look at him now. We would have never thought that would have worked out like 10 years ago, you know. So sometimes if they can get Jinder Mahal out and make him over, at least as a mid-carder, that's a miracle, bro. That's a miracle. They had to collect them Dragon Balls to do that.
Ryback. And there's no denying in 2012, Ryback was one of the most popular talents in WWE. Ryback's Goldberg-esque presentation had worked, and Ryback's catchphrase of "Feed me more" was immensely popular with a PG audience. When Ryback was pushed into the main event scene, it became obvious relatively quickly that he wasn't ready for the big time. Ryback was terrible at delivering promos, and his match quality wasn't at the level of other top stars such as CM Punk, John Cena, and Daniel Bryan. The aura surrounding Ryback quickly disappeared, as Ryback lacked the tools needed to remain a main eventer, but they didn't give up as they eventually turned him heel in 2013. This heel turn would involve a top feud with John Cena, but this feud was incredibly dull, and Ryback came across as more of a comedic character than a menacing, viable threat. Once the feud with Cena was over, Ryback would fall dramatically down the card, and he would never be considered for a world title feud ever again. Number 4.
If that guy had a manager, it would have worked out a little bit better to him. I'm not saying he would be like one of the greatest of all time or one of the top even for his generation, but he had the look, he had the slogan that went over with the fans. He just was terrible on the mic and just kind of, in my personal opinion, kind of boring in the ring. And it's weird to say that, and it's kind of hypocritical because I did like Goldberg, so I don't know, man. I don't even know.
Mabel. The WWE product in 1995 was struggling to find an audience. The cartoonish style of programming WWE were delivering wasn't connecting with the fans, and some of the wrestlers who Vince McMahon was adamant on pushing were failing to get over. One of these wrestlers was a near 500-pound Mabel who McMahon believed could be potentially the next top guy in the company. Mabel was below average in the ring, and there was no demand to see him in a substantial role. So when Mabel won the 1995 King of the Ring, fans were less than excited. Mabel, in the biggest match of his career, would take on Diesel at the SummerSlam pay-per-view, and this match just so happened to be for the WWE title. The match was incredibly poor and arguably one of the worst matches in SummerSlam history. Mabel even hurt Diesel in the match, and this almost led to McMahon firing him with immediate effect. The SummerSlam match would mark the end of Mabel's push in WWE, but slowly but surely McMahon would realize that he needed to change his strategy when it came to talent he pushed in the main event scene. Number 3. Ronda Rousey. When WWE signed Ronda Rousey in 2018, there was a ton of buzz. Rousey was one of the biggest names in UFC history, and she'd always spoken positively about WWE, so there was an exciting opportunity for WWE to add a huge star into their growing women's division. Rousey's first run in the company was acclaimed by many, as her matches were mostly well received, and Rousey would have great matches with Nia Jax, which nobody saw coming. Nevertheless, when she returned in 2022, everything felt different. The Rousey of old had gone, and Rousey was now a clumsy, borderline reckless wrestler, and it was obvious that her heart wasn't in it.
Yeah, she don't care no more.
4 matches with the likes of Charlotte Flair and Liv Morgan, but even though Rousey's work had dramatically regressed, WWE continued a push, unfortunately to the detriment of other women in the division. It's unclear what happened, but Rousey's second run in the WWE has failed in every aspect, and ultimately they should have taken action and realized that just because Rousey is a huge star, it doesn't mean she should be performing at an elite level.
What are you talking about? You just said that her Raw run when she first got there was great. And then you're going to say just because she was in UFC doesn't mean that she should be a big star. Like, I don't know, man. That's what you be doing. You saying some crazy stuff sometimes. But I would agree on them to the point of where, like, she had her SmackDown Women's Championship run where there was lackluster. But where I disagree with them on it is they said that was to the detriment of the women and the rest of that roster, because it's like, they didn't develop any of the women anyway, so no one was really suited to win that title at that time outside of maybe Liv Morgan, just based off of popularity, which I think she's pretty good in the ring, but I feel like they could have, kind of polished her a little bit more before she got that title, and then they screwed it up with the booking. But outside of that, as far as the women in that division on SmackDown, like no one was ready for that. The only choices were Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey, and Charlotte Flair at that point. When Charlotte Flair came back, I mean. So it was like it went in those directions for a reason. So I don't think anyone... That's why I keep saying they need to get a mid-card title involved. They have to. Otherwise, figure out some convincing storylines to build up the women's roster, especially the mid-card women. Like, because they're not doing that. Even to this point, it's only been, a week? Like, this is only a week, like, since, like, the draft. Like, hopefully we'll see some remnants of something happening. It's not making any sense. And I have an idea for some of the women in the mid-card in my other video for making tag teams, so go ahead and check that out.
To Vladimir Kozlov. WWE were insistent on making Vladimir Kozlov the next top heel in WWE. Kozlov in 2008 would embark on a win streak, but what was damaging about this presentation was that the fans failed to react as if he was a top star. He had a lack of presence in the ring, and his in-ring work wasn't as the standard fans wanted. He would be involved in pay-per-view matches with the likes of Triple H, and even someone as talented as The Game was unable to get a good match out of him. In 2009, WWE even had Kozlov defeat The Undertaker on SmackDown, and there were even rumors that he was going to face him at WrestleMania 25. Thankfully, after a few months, WWE realized that Kozlov wasn't a top star, and they had pushed him way beyond his merit. And number 1,
they let you beat The Undertaker and you were still trash? That's crazy.
The Great Khali. Debuting in 2006, The Great Khali was instantly presented as a menacing figure in WWE. Khali would defeat The Undertaker on pay-per-view, and it was made clear to fans that Khali was
as far as being over with the fans,
seriously. Outside of Khali's hype, there was nothing remotely special about him. He could barely move in the ring, and this made having good matches with anyone was virtually impossible. The following year in 2007, WWE made the controversial decision to make him the new world champion. This was a decision that was heavily criticized, as the crowd responses to Khali didn't warrant a world title victory. His run as world champion wasn't exactly great, and his matches with the likes of Batista and Kane were borderline failures. It took WWE years to realize that Khali wasn't going to work as a top star, and he would eventually be relegated to a comedic role in the company. But there you have it, folks.
That was so cringy seeing him like that. It was weird. I mean, I wasn't a Great Khali fan like that, but he's one of those guys, Vince McMahon, like, hey, he's tall for no reason. Put him in. Let him win the championship. And it's like, Vince, man, like, I understand that you're in love with the days of Andre the Giant, but you're not going to repeat it over and over and over. That's not going to happen. It's not going to, it didn't happen with Great Khali. It didn't happen with Giant Gonzalez. You're not going to repeat this over and over and over. There are just some people who are just tall, and that's it. They don't need to be in the ring, okay? And they're not going to give you what Andre the Giant gave you. And I'm not saying Andre the Giant was like, to people nowadays that watch wrestling, I'm not saying that he was like the most amazing wrestler in the ring, but he did what he needed to do to tell a story in the ring. And I think when I was a kid, I used to love like seeing him talk and everything. Big old hands and destroying people in the ring left and right. I used to watch my grandma's WrestleMania VHSs and like see him do what he thinks. So like him being a legend, I understand it completely. But these guys, Great Khali, Gonzalez, they're not Andre the Giant at all. But anyways, what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. If there's some things that you agree with or disagree with, let me know, okay? Thank you guys so much for watching. Salute. Peace. Have a good day.